Now, contrary to recent mythology, everything wasn't all wine and roses in those early days. Staff turnover was already becoming an issue as the organization tried to find its voice and balance the conflicting goals of organizational development, revenue growth, and the interest of its members. But APAS did provide a clear and effective voice for Saskatchewan farmers and ranchers, and its reputation and membership grew. While there were structural deficiencies inherent in the organization that would later become problematic, exceptional leaders like Terry Hildebrandt and Ken McBride were able to put aside their personal interests. They crafted and put forward policies that were in the best interests of the organization and all of the producers within the province. But APAS was an organization whose governance structure was tragically flawed from inception, and the potential for destruction and damage was impossible to avoid. The period from 2006 to 2008 brought the organization to its knees as internal conflicts between the board and executive and the continuing loss of qualified staff drove RM councils, agriculture, media, and disenchanted ratepayers to seriously question the value of membership. APAS membership dropped to less than 60 members, many of the RM councils repeating their belief in the dire need for an effective farm voice, but citing the ongoing internal conflict for the decision to withdraw from their only available option. In 2008, at the AGM, there was a turning point for APAS. Members clearly recognized the need for drastic reform. The public debates, the resignations of executive and directors had taken the organization to the brink of disaster. The current governance structure had worked well under the tutelage of a strong and focused leader who could put the interest of the membership ahead of his own ambitions. Let me be clear, there is no room in a democratically controlled farm organization to put personal interests ahead of the organization's beliefs. Delegates rose to the challenge and collectively revised the structure of APAS to properly align the accountabilities of the newly elected board and representatives. These key changes quickly stabilized the organization and created an atmosphere of accountability, cooperation, and teamwork. Most importantly, the new board and executive committed to a management policy that left staff turnover a thing of the past. At the same time, we rebuilt the office with a small but potent group of highly skilled professionals. General Manager Niall Kuyak brings extensive policy experience and grassroots membership development skills to the organization. His reputation for honesty and integrity ensured that APAS could attract some of the best policy and communications professionals in the province. Policy Manager Doug Fowler has extensive expertise in research and analysis and a deep passion for the business of agriculture. For communications, APAS secured the services of an international recognized expert in marketing and communications innovation, whom I mentioned earlier. And most recently, we've been able to attract Brenda McBride, who brings us a wealth of technical administrative expertise to the APAS team. But then the real job began. For APAS, that meant putting the internal controversies behind us and focusing on our member needs. On the policy front, we concentrated on pocketbook issues important to our members. We continue to call for improvements to farm safety nets, rail service, and a full railway costing review. We studied the impacts of globalization on our provincial livestock herd. We hosted the first EG&S symposium aimed at developing a Saskatchewan ALICE program. We partnered with CAP, RAP, CFA, and many commodity groups to commission a producer payment security study to ensure that farmers get paid for grain that they deliver. And we tackled issues like those that we will be discussing throughout this and other meetings. At APAS, our goal is to put money into farmers' hands. Those are relatively easy words to say, and as a farmer, even easier words to hear. But at APAS, we believe in walking the talk. On the national front, we are actively involved at the CFA table on issues affecting livestock and grains and oilseeds producers. We are providing input into the next suite of business risk management programs and the National Food Strategy. And we've been actively engaged in identifying shortcomings and providing real recommendations to the current issues surrounding grain transportation. This new APAS, or APAS 2.0 as we like to call it at the office, is dedicated to an era of openness, transparency, honesty, and integrity. In this version of APAS, we focus on key policy issues, membership renewal, and enhancement of the democratic process within the organization. We travel across the province to meet with ratepayers and reeves and councils and municipal members to tell them our story. And as we told our story and listened to their concerns, our membership grew, returning to 70 members in 2010. We firmly believe in the changes that we have made to make the organization more accountable, more effective, and more respected by our corporate and industry partners, but more importantly, by our members. Over the past 12 years, we have had our problems, our growing pains, to put it more gently. And we continue to face those that would rather sling vicious and bitter attacks against our committed staff, our elected officials, our RM representatives, and our young organization, rather than respect the efforts of its people who dedicate their time and energies on behalf of Saskatchewan farmers and ranchers. And though I wish the world were a different place, I've come to accept that we will always be subject to those who put their personal ideology and political ambition ahead of reason and civility. And as I look back over the history of democratic engagement in this country and watch the first tentative steps towards democracy in other parts of the world, I realize that it's never an easy path. The road towards representation is fraught with competing interests, ideological differences, conflicting needs, personal agendas, and the never-ending challenge of doing more with less. Less farmers, less members, less staff, less resources, less money, and less power. But what I've really learned is this: no matter whether you're a farmer in Saskatchewan facing a wet and cold spring, or a field worker worried about radioactive poisoning in Japan, or a starving and angry Middle Eastern youth with only a loaf of bread in their fist, everyone needs a voice. And it's only collectively that we can rise up above the noise and tell the world about how we got here, and more importantly, where we need to go, united and committed. It's only collectively that we can hope to effect change for our families and for our future. And it's only collectively that our voices have a chance to be heard. I'm Greg Marshall. Be heard.